Compliance Manager Training, Remote Work Policy Review. Welcome to since COVID-19, remote work has taken on a whole new level of importance to us. We have to accommodate people who have become accustomed to not working in an office. Before, remote access policies and procedures were part of the disaster recovery plan. In other words, business continuity had to include what do we do if we can't go to the office and work. Now, disaster recovery means something very, very different. Remote access means securing customers' information is a primary concern. And that's something that regulators ask for. That's something that we do on an ongoing basis in our day-to-day office. When we're in the office, doing them from a remote location becomes even more important. Another concern that the remote work environment did not create another branch. A very real and valid concern about loan originators and companies using remote home offices as branch locations. Unless you have physically undertaken to get your branch registered with the state, you may not conduct business outside the parameters of the remote access policies and procedures. When you download the document, it looks like this. You don't have this navigation. You'll just see a policy and procedure for you to edit. One of the things that I'd like to point out is that you can very easily create a navigation bar by just pressing Control F, find. This gives you a navigation bar. This allows you to do a number of things. Search, if you were to search for home office, you'll see all of the references to home offices. If you wanted to search for a VPN, right? Got it there. So search bar, from my perspective, I love the headings. So the headings allow me to jump around a document to different places. You can also do that from a table of contents, but this is where we can actually see those links. And if you're editing, you want to move things around, you can actually move things around by dragging and dropping the heading, and it will take everything below it and move it to another place. 2-90, the safeguarding and ID theft. Everything technology related is in this module. When you download it here, you'll see it exactly as we provided the entire thing. This section is where you'll find the secure remote access policies and procedures. It's exactly the same document that you originally downloaded. Let's review what is in a secure remote access policy and procedure. Secure remote access, one of the most important things you do is provide for your employees a VPN. And VPN means virtual private network. If you don't know what that is, you essentially are creating a tunnel until the information can be encrypted again on the other side of the internet. Internet traffic is all encrypted. That's why you see the 256-bit or 128-bit encryption. Encryption means that it's virtually impossible to intercept data because you can't unscramble the eggs. There's just too much of it to capture a piece and figure out if it belongs with one document or another. The idea is that we're taking information from your computer and putting it all the way on the safe side of the internet, behind the internet firewalls where it's encrypted in transit. That's your responsibility, ensuring that the information is sent and downloaded to your computer via a secure encrypted connection. And that tunnel does that. We'll talk about what makes a secure location. What do you have to do that? If you're not 100% certain that your home office environment is secure, you should use a VPN even within your home office. If you're not 100% certain that your Verizon or your Comcast or other broadband provider has provided you with a router that's secure, or if you've got other people who are working on your network as well, if it's not a dedicated router, you should utilize VPN because this will protect your information regardless of who is on your network, who might be listening. Never use an unsecured network for company business. Unsecured public networks may never be used. You may use a home network that's exclusively yours if you are 100% certain that security requirements are in place. The company should provide the employee with hardware necessary to conduct his or her job. If you don't have a company laptop, the company does not provide you with a company laptop, something that the company can control, then you have to agree to allow the employer to wipe the device remotely. They have a privately owned company item. Our recommendation is to always provide company hardware. That means telephones, laptops, tablets, scanners, routers, modem, home security systems, data storage and backup devices. You may only use company provided or approved hardware for work related items. It would be understandable if the employee had his own or her own computer, telephone beyond what the company provided. That's what they use to do their online shopping, to chat with their friends, to text message for social events, social media that's not company related. The company must reimburse for those expenses, as I mentioned, for that reason, to avoid creating the impression that there's some undisclosed ownership. If you do have a printer, the printer may only be used for physical administrative items. You may not print loan documents, may not print customer exhibits, anything like that. You may not create a physical record of that in the branch office or the branch office, in the home office ever. You may use it for things like printing a mailing label, a form, a blank form. When you are uploading documents, you should have secure access to a remote document portal or another secure upload method. If you're scanning documents using a cell phone or a scanner or a flatbed scanner or document feeder, all of those things must not result in a physical copy of the documents. And of course, those also must be approved by the company. Remote supervision. We do see that some regulators have sort of a very high level overview of what remote supervision is like. But the truth is that there's no precise way to remotely supervise your employees who are not in the same office as you are, except best practices for monitoring and oversight. In other words, somebody who's left unattended and with no supervision and no check-ins, well, that's somebody who is likely not to adhere to company policies and procedures. You must have periodic monitoring and oversight, one-on-one meetings. You review work in progress, individual projects, any individual training that needs to happen, any specific assistance needed from the main office. And then, of course, company meetings, very important to discuss industry guideline changes, goals, market conditions, general process issues, and have feedback discussions. So important to feeling like you're part of something when you're working remotely. All meetings are recorded. And you keep an inventory of those meetings because if somebody says, hey, you never said anything about that, at the time that the home office is established, you go through the Form 2-94-1, approval and annual review of the remote home office checklist. You keep a copy of the checklist and photos of the location documenting the review. You can hire a remote third-party firm to do these independent inspections. Some of them do them by phone and some of them do them physically. There are companies that do this, but you can also achieve this by having your employee walk around taking photos of the physical premises. Maintaining proper work schedule. Companies maintain regular business hours. The company should have company employees working during company hours. The expectation is that during those hours, employees must answer phone calls when they're not on another call, return all phone calls within a particular period of time, return emails and messages within 1 hour. When you are working from home, it's important to make arrangements to supervise children, pets, or even contractors to ensure that you're not creating an unprofessional work environment. You must record your time. Timekeeping very important. Many state regulators have wage labor boards who are very aggressive, working more than the 8 hours a day or 40 hours a week. Many state laws can require that you have to pay overtime. You want to record hours, even for exempt employees, to ensure that there's not a potential for overtime. You, as the employer, can monitor the company's work using your LOS. There are other monitoring tools which are available. Clearly, depending on the type of environment you're in and the level of supervision you have to give a particular individual. For instance, somebody who's clearly had trouble adhering to these policies needs more supervision. Recording devices, recording telephone calls, recording messages, recording emails, all of those things are within the rights of the company to review when an employee is conducting company business. As we mentioned, the most important element of the remote work policy is to ensure that we're not creating an environment which can be seen by the public or as the regulator as creating an actual branch office. Not holding yourself out in any way. So the employee may not have a business card that lists the home office, may not send mail with a return address of the home office, may not have customers come to the home office. Those are all things that create the impression that the branch is a licensed branch. You may only use company provided and approved platforms. You must validate the identity of any participants in a remote meeting, such as a Zoom call. The only physical record that you may keep in the remote home office is evidence that there has been an inspection of the home office. So no paper documents may be maintained in the office. When you go through an onboarding of your first home office employee, remote office employee, first, obviously, authorize it and provide the justification for that, not just because I don't want to come in. Go through this 2-94-1, remote office supervision, and set up the remote office setup and annual review checklist. You'll use this at the time that you establish a remote office and at the time that you review it. And while some companies may review it more frequently, you must review it at least annually. Anytime that there is any sort of a change, technology, personnel, company. Within this, you see obviously the company authorization. You're keeping this information in your work files, HR files, listing of the hardware in the remote office, ensuring that the customer can access, ensuring that the employee can access technology securely, that you have a timekeeping mechanism, that you are securing loan documentation and providing a way for the loan originator to access that technology remotely, deliver that information to the customer remotely, that there are remote work resources easily available either through an intranet or through another location, that the physical availability of things like calendars and sticky notes that would be something that would be in a common office are available to that employee as well. The idea is that the employee is in the office. This home office rather is an extension of your main office, not a separate office. And of course, the agreements for daily, weekly virtual meetings, company meetings, virtual meetings for customers, meetings in a secured location for customers, and the understanding of the annual location inspection. Before you let somebody work remotely, you have to make sure that they can effectively work remotely. And that's what we do when we test the remote work environment. Before that employee goes live, they need to actually log into all systems, confirm that they can access all systems, send out tests, sets of documents, uploads, backups, retrievals, telephone calls, Zoom meetings. All of that has to be tested before you can initiate that remote work. That is the remote work policy. So wanted to just review a few other resources for you. We do have on the website training for cybersecurity and ID theft training. This is very useful since, in fact, this technology that we're talking about is designed to protect customer information. So if you're not having your employees go through IT cybersecurity training, anti-phishing, things like that, you should. And then, of course, for managers, there's a separate stage, take the quiz. So we have that resource here. There are also a number of wonderful resources here at the FTC. So the Federal Trade Commission, cybersecurity quizzes, they include cybersecurity basics, phishing, ransomware, tech support scams, vendor security. These are all things that every company needs to be doing in order to ensure that they have at least a layman's understanding of how their IT works and how we keep it secure. We have additional tools available in our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel includes a lot of information for you and your employees to review to ensure that you have a good understanding of how you're securing customer information. That's here on our YouTube video, which you can access from the website simply by following this link. So our playlists provide a wealth of information. Sometimes it's more than you need, but if there's something here that you need, you do not have to pay for it. It is included, and we recognize it, and it does support the materials that you've given yourself and your employees. So if there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly if you're having trouble locating something. And if you would like, one of the other elements that we offer as a service is this audit of your IT security system. So if you do have concerns that you're vulnerable, that you want to have a second set of eyes or a third set of eyes, review your company configuration. Simply order up this cybersecurity information compliance third-party review and risk assessment. And that way we can help you evaluate your systems, provide some coaching for how to better secure your systems, and make some recommendations potentially for vendors if you're missing anything or have some gaps in those systems. All right. Well, thank you for your time. It's a little shorter than I expected, but as I mentioned, you can always reach out to me directly via email, chat on the website here. Need help? Email here by clicking on mail to Thomas Morgan at MortgageManuals.com, or by going to our knowledge base here and asking a question such as cybersecurity. Thank you very much for your time today.